Hello and welcome to Just One More Thing, a weekly podcast about crafting and knitting. I'm Janessa, I'm the knitter.
I'm Brooklyn, I'm the crafter.
And I'm Liz, and I'm the pesky little brother.
He's the pesky little brother. So, we have a third co-host on today's episode because it's raining outside, which you can't tell through the glare of the window, but it is quite wet outside, and he can't go outside and play while we do this like we have done the past couple of weeks. So, he's gonna share a little bit of stuff today too. I'm gonna let them talk first, and then they're gonna go play, and then I'll get to all of the knitting. So, Brooklyn and Emerson, hold up what you've got in your laps.
We made these pumpkins. We made these pumpkins for our school, for the school reading night pumpkin contest.
It was a contest, decorate the pumpkin like your favorite book character contest.
Mine came in second place.
And who's your character, Brooklyn, for anyone who doesn't know?
This is Geronimo Stilton.
Geronimo Stilton.
And Skippy John Jones.
And Skippy John Jones. Skippy John Jones lost his ears in the rain. Sad. But, so that was our big, you guys can set them down now.
I won second place.
That was our big crafting thing this week, was doing those pumpkins. And then they're going to be our Halloween pumpkins as well. So, Brooklyn's came in second place. She won $10. Both of the kids got McDonald's gift cards for participating. Geronimo Stilton, if you don't know that series, it's a really good, I would say from like 2nd through 4th grade type series, age group. Yeah. It's a little mouse who runs a newspaper and goes on lots of adventures. I think there's quite a few different authors that write the books, so they come out in pretty quick succession, and there's lots of different like spin-offs of the series.
Like Space Mice.
There's Space Mice, and then he has like a cousin or a sister or something a sister that appears as the main character in several books. I got knitting on this, and I made it halfway across the row, and I messed it up. I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. That's okay, I'll just pick it out. So that's Brooklyn's character, and then Skippy John Jones is a cat. What does he think he is, Emerson? What does Skippy John, he doesn't think he's a cat.
He thinks he's a human.
No, he doesn't think he's a human. What animal does Skippy John Jones think he is?
A chihuahua.
A chihuahua. Skippy John Jones thinks he's actually a chihuahua. And the books are really, your kids will love them because they have lots of funny, silly, made-up words, but they are impossible to read. So parents may not like them. I'm not a fan of reading them, but he loves them because he thinks the funny, silly, made-up words are hilarious. Don't you, bud?
I don't actually read that.
Anymore.
Yeah, I think we do. So that was their craftiness, and it was they did this as part of the school's reading night. So last night we went to school, and there was lots of fun reading activities, and a hayride, and a weenie roast, and the pumpkin contest. And what did you guys get? Emerson got
this Puppy Dog Battles Design Dog.
I think that's a popular cartoon on Disney.
Junior.
Yeah, Disney Junior. A book about that. And then what was this one? Mommy actually really enjoyed this book called Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse. And the real mouse meets a toy mouse, and they become friends. And something happens at the end that makes you just go, "Aww." It's a very happy ending book. This one, he actually was one of the free books that he won for doing like sight word bingo. That was his prize at sight word bingo, and that we got at the book fair. And then Brooklyn has a whole book, buddy, sit down, stack of books. Okay, so now Brooklyn, what did you get at the book fair?
There is a series that I'm reading. Well, I'm starting to read. Do
you know what the series is called?
No, but all the books say it's Bowser and Birdie novel. I'm guessing it's that series.
So it's a series of Bowsy and Birdie.
No, Bowser and Birdie.
Bowser and Birdie novel. And I guess it's a whole series.
Yeah, I'm reading the first one at school, and then that's the second one.
And all the books have names like Woof and Arf and
Bow Wow. I'm guessing the next one will be Yip Yip. And then this is Webster, I got this also at the book fair. It's Webster, Tales of an Outlaw. He is a stray dog, and he's a stray dog, and he wants to be a popular internet star. Well, he does not want to be around humans, so he goes out on the streets, and he wants to become popular and maybe even an internet star. But when he does get a chance to escape, he discovers life on the road isn't so much fun. I'm not ready, but I'm just taking the stuff off the back.
yeah.
And then Dominic,
One of her friends from school.
gave me this book. I think he got this one at the book fair too.
You might recognize a theme in these books. She likes dogs.
And then
It was called Hero.
And then her book walk. Kind of like a cakewalk, but with books.
yeah, and I won this book. Well, you get to choose your books after you win. I was like, there's no good books here. I was like, I just found this book and I wanted to get it. It's called Ziggy. The puppy plays Ziggy.
So one of the perks of our reading night at school is every kid goes home with a free book at the end of the night. And then there's also the book fair that you can buy books from. So, well, Brooklyn, show your drawing that you started last week on the podcast, and then we'll let you guys go play, and I'll talk about the knitting.
You remember that this dude just had a head? I finished him, and I wrote his name. Little Dude Jerry. I started him last week, and I finished him, like, the day after.
Bud.
See? There's a sailing suit and a sailing backpack.
Cute. Good job, kiddo. And you did that all freehand.
Yes.
It wasn't part of the masterpiece, so
Right.
pretty impressive. I can't draw that well.
Really?
No.
I think you did really well.
I can draw like stick figures and I can trace things. I'm not much of a drawer. You get that from KK.
I do?
Yes, she gets all the good drawing genes.
Well, I just like to draw.
Well, I know,
I
but
don't
I'm just
think I
saying
don't.
I'm impressed by it because I don't know how to draw well.
Oh.
I'm not good at that kind of a thing.
And I'm not good at drawing.
Okay, you guys go play. Hey, so we're back, and it's just me. I sent the kids off to their room. Brooklyn really wanted to stay and do the whole podcast with me like we have been doing the past couple of weeks, but like I said at the top of the episode, it's raining outside. It's also very humid, which is why I've got the humid hot mess hair going on today. And with Emerson inside, it was just a little too chaotic. So she's keeping him entertained, and I'm going to finish out the podcast with just the knitting. So it's been a busy week. We did the book fair. You guys saw all of the fun book fair activity at the top of the episode. Unless you just skipped ahead to the knitting part, which is fine. So we had the fun, crazy book fair. And that was kind of the highlight of our week last week. I got a lot of knitting done. So I'm going to jump in and share all of that. First, I need to drink coffee in a new mug. I'm going to talk about the mug here in a little bit. We'll get to that later. So, first off, knitting. You might have seen I was knitting away merrily. Hi, it's a new episode. How you doing? Knit, 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 knit. I got halfway across the row and I realized I was doing the wrong repeat. I was not knitting the right thing. Oops. Oh well. Okay. So, I'm going to start knitting the right way. Well, I'll just show it to you because I'm at the beginning of the row. So I had to take back, basically. Make sure I'm showing you the right side. So I've been working on the Aster Stitch baby blanket. There's a nice big shot of it. This was a pattern that I adapted from one that was showcased on the new knit show with Vicky Howell. It was episode 2, and they were doing a scarf out of like big chunky yarn. And it was kind of a neat stitch. Like, it looked really intriguing, and I thought, I wonder what it will look like if you do it on a skinnier yarn, because I didn't have any chunky. And I think that would make a cute baby blanket. And I think it's working quite well. It's a free pattern, and I think I put the link in the show notes last week. And for the life of me now, I can't remember if I posted those show notes. I think I did. If not, it'll be in this week's show notes. But I cast on 103 stitches. And I'm using, these balls have been through the wringer, so they're a little messy looking, but I'm using these 2 yarns. They're both, like big box store type yarns. This one's Loops and Threads from Michaels. This one, I think, comes from Joann's. It's, I don't know. I showed the ball bands on last week's episode if you're super interested. So I've been knitting away on that, and since I have so many people having babies, I'm still not 100% sure who this one's going to. It might go to the prayer shawl group. It might be gifted to, I don't know. It's a mystery, but I'm knitting along on it. I had ordered some yarn from Knit Picks that I wanted that are both like very gender neutral colors to do blankets with, but the yarn still has not arrived. Even though the tracking says I should have it in my hands by now, it's stuck in a town 12 miles over and it hasn't arrived because, well, I'll save you my rant about Smart Post from UPS and FedEx. I don't think that they're good ideas. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to get ugly about Smart Post. Worst idea ever. So yeah, my yarn is in limbo at a FedEx facility 12 miles away, and I can't go rescue it because they're not open today. So I don't have the yarn to do that. So this one, I'm kind of hoping that I can put this one on hold for the prayer shawl ministry, and then use the yarn from Knit Picks for the blankets for Emerson's teacher and for our friend who's having a baby in November. I hope that works out. His teacher, I have like a week to whip out a baby blanket if I get the yarn on Monday before she goes on maternity leave. So, oh, fingers crossed that that works. I don't know. Just in case, I've been working on this one as a backup. Just to be able to have something to give her. Just in case. Just in case I don't get the yarn on time. Next up on the Whip Parade is the Under the Willow shawl, which is in desperate need of a larger needle because I'm at that point where it wants to start falling off the tips. But I'll show you the middle part because that's the exciting part. The lace panel in the middle is the exciting part. And it's coming along. So it's starting to reach that nice nice size. I think I'm in the middle of repeat 3 on the lace, and then I do another repeat of the lace, and then it's like a border type. It starts doing towards the border. So, and the lace repeats are quite big, so it'll add quite a bit more to that shawl in that 4th repeat. Oh, the yarn again is the loops and threads from Michaels. This is a prayer shawl, ministry shawl that I'm working on. And the yarn that gets donated to us, I think they like find when Michaels has their sales and their coupons, they go stock up. This is kind of their go-to yarn that we get donated to us for that project. I also have been working away on my outing shawl. So it's coming along as well. I've put a few more of the color stripes in. I just finished one last night. If I can show, it wants to curl around the cord, so it's not wanting to show very well. So there's that. I figured out, I did the math last night, that it wants me to do like 9.5 repeats. Like from, I'm calling that from, you know, from that point to that point a repeat. And it wants me to do at least 9 of those stripes. And so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a couple more stripes, but I'm not thinking that's going to be big enough. And the nice thing about this pattern is that you can make this as big as you want. So I'm going to go to at least 10 or 12 repeats of the body before I start doing the border. That's the word I'm looking for. And can we just take a minute and admire how nice that center spine is? It's working up with the make ones on each side. It kind of makes that stand out a little bit, and I really, really love how that looks right there in the middle. I'm not a fan of the yarn over increases. I like the make one increases that kind of keep everything closed up there. Personal preference. Just what it is. So yep, that one's coming along. This one's not going to get super, super exciting until I get to the border, because when I get to the border on this one, that's when I get to add in, like, I think it's 5 different colors. You get to do lots of fun stripes along the border, and so I'm looking forward to that. That's what's keeping me going on that one, because right now it's kind of a boring project. And then I also did a little bit of work on Mom's vest cardigan. I've got way too many needles poking out of this project. Okay. So it's coming along as well. I'm showing you the wrong, nope, that's the right side. So it will end up, this is the part that goes around the back, so it'll hang like this along the body. And it's done. So you'll kind of notice that all of my current whips that you've seen have all just made a little bit of progress. I was trying something new this week, in that I only worked on one project a day. Like, I would pick a project in the morning, and that would be the only thing. Whenever I picked up knitting during the day, that was going to be the only knitting I picked up. And I was going to try to focus. Instead of some days, I'm like, I'll do a little bit of work on here, and I'll do a little bit of work on here. And I kind of liked it. It kind of let me focus and enjoy on the projects a little bit more. So that was nice. But I also feel like I didn't make a huge amount of progress on any of them. Like, every project made progress, but only by a little bit. So I don't know if I'll keep doing that, or maybe I'll start focusing on like a project a week and try to get more done. I went through that phase where I was like casting on everything, and now I feel like nothing's getting done because I just have too much splitting my focus. There's just too much going on. So I think I might need to put a couple things on hold for a while and just like really focus on this one so I can get it done by Christmas. And then focus on the baby blankets so I can get those gifted. But there's other things that I want to focus on more. That sounds horrible. I want to give gifts to people, but I kind of have some selfish knitting that I want to do for me. Kind of want to be selfish. But I shouldn't. I should be a good knitter and not be selfish. Okay. So, since we're talking about being selfish, I cast on something new. Yeah. You remember last week I talked about how I had so much of this head wig. This is Falkland. Sorry. Yep, there we go. This is hand spun Falkland. It's leans a lot more towards the lace category than it does the fingering category in yarn. I had 4 ounces of this, and I think I used maybe not even an ounce in the What the Fade that I made. This was my color number 1 in What the Fade, and I used so little of it. I had so much left that I decided it needed to be a shawl all of its own because it's a really yummy yarn. It's light and soft and airy and squishy. So I cast on a Dotted Rays by Stephen West. I'll show it to you this way because this is kind of how it goes. So, last Sunday, a week ago, I was watching the daughter half of Legacy Knits podcast. Chelsea, maybe, is her name? I don't watch it enough to know for sure. But she was showing off a finished Dotted Rays. And she mentioned how potato chippy it was to knit because it's all garter stitch. Yarn overs and garter stitches and a purl here and there. Super easy, and it's a lot of short row is how you get those fun wedges. I'm super happy with how it's working out. Can you see, there we go, the color variations in the yarn? Emerson's trying to be sneaky and grab something. He's doing his best to be quiet. But I'm going to wait for him to go back so he doesn't. So the fiber was dyed with these little tiny dots of that blue and that kind of brown. And those are supposed to be like the snowy owl, the head wig on Harry Potter. So you get like the bright white, and then those little kind of gray dots of her feathers, and then her eyes were that hazel color. And so I really like how it's kind of striping, and you get just that really subtle, like from back here, you can't really tell. But then when you get up close, you can really see the color difference. And I love how that's working out. Very excited to wear that. So yeah, if you're looking for a fun, interesting pattern, but that's kind of mindless and easy, pick this one up. I do have a little tip when you're working the short rows, because it tells you to, work so many stitches and then, turn and do the wrong side. And then you knit to so many stitches before you did that turn. So that's where you get those kind of gaps with those little gaps. When I'm knitting back on the wrong side, I count, because I know, like, when I come back across this row, I'm going to have to knit to this many stitches before this turn. So I've placed that marker there so that I don't over knit and then have to tink back. So I know when I knit to that marker, and then I turn it, and then I take the marker off and I count, and then I'll know when I get to like here, I'll place the marker again. That is a helpful little tip when you're doing short rows. Kind of read ahead in the pattern and know on your way back like how many more rows you're going to have to knit to. So yeah, very excited by this. It knit up super fast. This was just a day's worth of knitting on it. And not like a solid 24 hours of knitting on it, but like I focused on it for a day, and this is what I maybe focused on it for the majority of a day. Let's not lie to you. I knit on it a lot. I stayed up pretty late that night knitting on it because I just had to get one more wedge. I just had to get through one more short row section. I just had to do one more little increase. I just had to do one more. It was totally like eating potato chips. Like you sit down and you're just gonna have a handful of chips and watch a show, and then before you know it, you've watched an entire season and the bag of chips is gone. That's what that project is. If you need a project like that and you have a lot of spare time on your hands this winter, snuggle in with a good series on Netflix and knit yourself a dotted race, because it's great. It's also very forgiving of whatever type weight of yarn you want to use. You can do it in lace, you can do it in fingering, you can do it in DK. A worsted one might end up being a blanket, but you can do whatever you want. It's one of those patterns that's very forgiving. Okay. I'm so sorry, my nose. It is really itchy. So, let's talk about my mug. And let's talk about the fact that every time I buy a mug, I hold my mugs with my right hand because I'm left-handed. So if you're drinking and you're doing something, you need to, like, let's say you're writing and you need your left hand free, so you hold things in your right hand. That's what being left-handed is all about. Everyone always assumes that you're going to hold a mug in your left hand, and so they put all the designs on this side of the mug. So I gotta switch things around. I'll do a close-up so you can really see how exciting that is. You see this little logo down here? Actually, this whole thing is the logo for Mustache Yarns. Did a kit. Here you can see their logo again on this cute little bag that came with a little clip, so you could clip it onto your belt or whatever, I guess, and knit along. It's a little drawstring bag, but then it also has like handles on it. So I was one of the lucky few, and now I can't get this undone. It's very stiff, the drawstrings. Haven't used it enough. There it goes. I gotta break that in. So I was one of the lucky few who got one of these kits. It was a collaboration between Mustache Yarns and Tuft Woolens. So I'm going to show you everything that came in it. Here was the sock yarn that came in the kit. Camp Knit Along. And it's the excuse me, strong sock, self-striping. So I think this is like the sport weight. And I'm gonna confess something to you real quick. I have heard of this dyer on many a podcast. I've heard people talk about it. Oh, I'm knitting, this is my sock that I'm knitting from Mustache Yarns, and oh, this is the cowl that I'm knitting, you know, whatever. People love this yarn, and they knit with it a lot, and they talk about it on their podcasts, and every single time they talk about it, I thought they were saying mustache, like mustache yarn. I don't know why I assumed it was mustache, like facial hair, but it's mustache yarn. I don't know. That, like, when I finally figured that out, I was like, oh, it makes more sense now. I get it. Before, I was just like, why would, okay, mustache. I just never knew. Now I know. That's my confession of the day. And so yeah, Oh, I like this. On the back of her, it says stash in good health. That's cute. It tells you how to care for it. So this is 3 uneven stripes in bark canopy and fire stripedy stripe. 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 328 yards. There's all the info. So that was the yarn that came in it. It also came with some goodies from Tuft Woolens. I haven't taken this one out of the plastic yet, but it's hand and body balm. It's like lotion for your hands. It is in the Campfire S'mores scent. And then this one is Luxury Lip Balm. And I think it's kind of unscented as far as I can tell. Oh, nope, it's marshmallow. But it feels unscented. Like it doesn't have a taste or smell to it. But marshmallow. I guess marshmallows don't really have taste or smell either. So that makes sense, I suppose. A little lip balm. And then it also came with the Campfire S'mores wool wash. And a body bar. Like a soap bar. Which is in the bathroom because I couldn't just not use it. I smell like campfires right now. If you were sitting next to me, you would think that we were in the woods, in a spruce forest, around a campfire, making s'mores. That's the smell that is permeating the house at the moment. Because it's everywhere. But yeah, it smells super good. Then it came with the mug. So that was their campfire, their camp knit-along kit. There's going to be a knit-along in November. If you like any of these items, the kit is no longer available, but you can go to Mustache Yarn's website. I'll put the website up here and it'll be in the show notes. I believe you can still get some of the yarn. Last time I looked, the yarn was still available. You can get the pattern for the knit-along. It's also available, I think, over on the Tuft Woolens website. You can get like the soaps and the lip balms and things. She has those a la carte. Also, if you're seeing this today, which is Saturday, what day is today? Today's the 14th. So if you're watching this on Saturday the 14th, it'll be late when it goes up. If you're watching this on Sunday the 15th, on Monday the 16th, it will be the last day that you can go and put in a request to order the mug. The mug comes from Hill Country Pottery. And on the Mustache Yarn website, there is a pre-order space, but she's only taking pre-orders till Monday. And then it's gonna be like one last hurrah for the mug, is what the gentleman from Hill Country Pottery is doing, this mug with this particular stamp on it. Now, I'm sure I'll try to find the website. I'm sure he has like an Etsy store or something, or a website where you can go get other pottery things made by him in the same general look and feel and shape. It just won't have that, particular glaze and stamp and things on it. So, but if you want this mug, which I highly recommend, it's a very nice mug. I would go before Monday and put in your request for it, because then there will be no more. And then, like I said, there's going to be a knit along. There's a hat and a fingerless mitt pattern using this yarn that the Mustache on Ravelry, the group, is hosting in November. So you'll see this again in November for the knit along. It also, the kit came with a download code for the pattern. I downloaded the mitts pattern because I wanted mitts more than I wanted a hat out of this. I didn't particularly want a hat out of self-striping yarn. So I went for the fingerless mitts. I think the pattern's like $2. So even without the download code, it's entirely reasonable to go buy that pattern. I'll try to put links to what those patterns are on Ravelry in the show notes. I'll try to find them. I'll do my best. No promises. Okay, so one last thing to talk about. Wow, I have been busy this week. This is ending up being a long podcast. So I'll put my goodies away. Last week I talked about doing another challenge from our, oops, sorry, I'm tipping the table. Okay. So last week I talked about doing a design challenge with Aroha Knits. You've heard me talk about her a couple of times. I did the Makariri shawl, which was hers. I did the shawl swatch challenge a couple of weeks back, maybe a month or so ago, where I made the mini shawls to learn different stitches. That was a challenge through her. And like I talked about last week, one of her big passions is to inspire other people to become designers as well. She calls them, she's the fiber muse, I think is kind of one of her little catchphrases that she uses. So, and I've left a lot of the papers over there, so maybe I'll throw up pictures as I talk about them. That's what we'll do. So day one, and I say day one, but this is actually like, you get the homework assignment and then you have 2 days to finish it. So it's it'll cover 10 days, but it's really just like 5 assignments. Day one came on Monday, and that was, what's your vision? Like, what inspires you? What kind of things do you want to see? What do you want to design? Like, what's the item that you're going to design? You know, just kind of the inspiration, the vision that you have in your head, like writing it down on paper, maybe a little sketch. That was the first day of homework. And I kind of already had this idea brewing in my head of when I did the What the Fade with the brioche, the increases that were included, like the brioche increase, really kind of inspired me, like how you could see the branches coming off of the spine along the top and along the center, how you could really follow those branches out from those increases really intrigued me, and I liked that type of construction, and so I wanted to play with that a little bit. And those branching off from a main stem really reminded me of like rivers and deltas. So that was kind of where I was taking my inspiration from. And then day 2 was basically like sketch your design, like sketch it out, maybe put in a little detail about what kind of stitches you want to see. And at this point I still hadn't really firmed that up, so I had a couple different ideas brewing, and so I posted those on Instagram. One was kind of starting to take shape over the other, like one was starting to win out, but I still wasn't 100% sure, oh, excuse me, what I wanted to do. So I was kind of leaving that open. And then day 3 was finally making a swatch. Like, so day 2, we were, like, researching stitches, stitch patterns, and constructions, and things like that. So day 3 was actually making a swatch. And this is my swatch. It's a little triangle shawl. And this was my 6th attempt at making this. So, I'm actually quite happy with it, and I think it's going to grow up to be an actual full-size shawl. I still haven't settled on the yarn that I want yet, but I have settled on the stitch pattern. So, I'll show that close up so you can see. So, we have kind of a different type of increase in the middle. Oops, here we go. There it is. So you can see I'm doing a much different type of increase on the center spines. It's got some cables that come out from those increases. And then instead of the spines coming off of the increases here, you can see how I've made them come off of this line, like right here. They're kind of flowing off of that. So I'm kind of noodling around with the idea that this will be called my Chasing Rivers shawl. And yeah, I'm definitely going to go through the whole process and write a pattern for this and release it as a pattern. So this is probably the only time I'll show the actual swatch. I'm going to knit up a sample, and yeah, so I'm going to design a shawl, y'all. It's coming together. I'm excited about it. So yay. That has been a very exciting part of the week as well. So I do have to kind of figure out what yarn I want to make it on. I'm going to knit up swatches in DK and fingering just to see which fabric I like the best, and then got fuzzes or something. Yeah, and then we'll have a pattern eventually. I don't know when. It might be a while. I'm not gonna lie about that part. I don't know how long it's gonna take to do the whole like writing it out and getting it tested, and I don't know how long that process will take, but it will happen, and you will eventually see that shawl up on Ravelry at some point. Yay! So I'll show it to you one more time, just to like that should be my, if I did screenshots for my title page, like that would be a screenshot. Oh yeah, I made a shawl. So that's what's been going on this week. Next week is probably going to be kind of just like a same old week. Brooklyn's got dance skin on Thursday, and that gets me a lot of knitting time because she has an hour-long class and then an hour-long break and then a 30-minute class on Thursday night for dance. So that's a lot of sitting around and waiting and knitting while she does all of those things. My husband and I will be celebrating our 11th wedding anniversary on, I'm trying to look at the calendar. I can't see that far. I'm so blind. Even with my glasses on, I cannot see tiny print far away. Today's the 14th, so on Tuesday we're celebrating our 11th wedding anniversary. We will probably go out to dinner. That'll be it. We are not exciting people that do exciting things to celebrate things like birthdays and anniversaries. But it is one of the few times a year where we actually are like, yeah, we'll go out and eat dinner. We'll not cook dinner at home. We'll go out to eat, and we will, that's probably all we'll do. Sometimes after we eat dinner, we walk around Lowe's and look at things. Woohoo! Married life is super fun. We're really boring people. Like, that's a fun date night. It's like, let's go out to eat, and like maybe we'll go grocery shopping. Exciting times. Exciting times. After 11 years. Yeah. Oh, I laugh at myself sometimes. So yeah, that's kind of pretty much all that's going on. Thanks for sitting through all of the wild and crazy kid shenanigans, and thanks for listening to all my knitting chatter. If you liked the episode, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. That's how we can grow our fun knitting community. Join the Ravelry group. I have a Facebook page, but I don't really post to it much because I'm not on Facebook all that much these days. So pretty much Instagram and Ravelry. Those are the two places that you can find me the most and that have the most knitting related content. So join those, share the video, share your love by liking, and I'll see you. I'll stop rambling because that's all I'm doing right now is lots of rambling. I might throw up a couple pictures from reading night at the end after the credits. So if you want to stick around for those, maybe even a few bloopers from some of the kids stuff that I cut out because there were a couple things I'm like, nah, we're not gonna put that in. I'm not gonna make you sit through every random like, look at my toy, look at my book. And here I'm gonna be on YouTube, so I'm gonna show you all the things. Mentality of Emerson. He came out with an armload of stuff that he was going to share with you guys. And I probably should have let him. But it would have taken like an hour of him being like, this is my toy, and this is my drawing, and this is... So, I tried to limit it to just the books and the pumpkins. But I'll throw in a couple bloopers at the end. If you really want to see cute kids, you can. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling, and we'll see you next week.
Cosmo, how you doing? Cosmo, how you doing?
What's that?
Drawing or something.
Oh, Geronimo. I thought you said Cosmo.
Cosmo, how you doing? Did you do a mouse and I done a cat?
Because they were the easiest pumpkins to decorate. Mommy doesn't have crafty vision beyond a cat and a mouse.
I want to be on this podcast, by the way. I want to be on one podcast.
Only one podcast?
Yeah.
We could have. I can agree to the Emerson, to the Pesky little brother on just one more thing podcast.
Okay.
Like for special occasions, or if he wants to be on.
Well, today it's because it's raining.
Hold on, wait a
Okay.
minute.
We're ready. I'm Janessa. I'm the crafter.
I'm Brooklyn, and I'm the craft.
I'm the knitter. You're the crafter.
Yeah, I'm the crafter.
And I'm the
Mommy.
pesky little brother.
Thanks.
Mommy messed up the line. Do we want to start it? Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and I was going to show you a sticker.
Okay, show the sticker while Brooklyn figures out the books that she's going to show.
It's that bottom sticker, the cat. The
That's
purple-
his favorite character in the show, I think, is the cat.
Hissy.
The purple cat.
Yeah, it's Hissy the purple cat.
Okay.